Hello, hello. Happy Wellness
Hello.
Wellbeing Wednesday, everybody. Happy Love Month 2023. I'm just so excited to be here. We have an amazing speaker. We've got some great wind in the background. I hope it doesn't go through. I will mute myself when our amazing speaker speaks. But I just want to welcome you guys. Welcome to Wellness Wellbeing Wednesday. And thank you for being here. If you're catching the replay, this is a lot of golden nuggets for you about being healthy. We
Yes.
are in a series this month of identifying and embracing a worry free lifestyle, and we are in part 10. This is the 10th and final one. It's been an amazing book inspired by the late Dr. Frank Minirth, Dr. Paul Meyer, and Don Hawkins in their book, Worry Free Living. And today
Beautiful.
we are going to be talking about grief, gratitude, growth. And I am just honored. But before we get started, as I do, I want to take a few moments of stillness, a few moments of silence and prayer for all of those that have been affected by the earthquakes, all of those that have been affected in Syria, in Turkey, in Lebanon, and even throughout the world of having family members. So I
Hmm.
want to say, we're so sorry. We are so sorry. And we just want to have this moment of stillness. Maybe it's you're still just with an aftermath from the tragedies in Uvalde, from the horrific war in Ukraine, which people are still struggling with that. Or even today, I heard about another tragedy of just a young child going into a school with an armed weapon. It is a
Hmm.
world that we live in that is full of violence, and I would just like to just ask God for that stillness, which it
Yes.
reminds me of why it's so important to practice nonviolent communication and to just have gratitude, but also to just see about yourself, self care. Love Month
Hmm.
2023 is about self care. We are in Black History Month of many tragedies that come from that. So, just a few moments. Thank you for that as we ask God to just put that hedge of protection over us, over our world, over our country, over our states, our city, our home, our family, and most importantly, ourselves. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. And welcome. We have a lot of celebrations too for awareness. We have, I want to share, is American Health Month,
Yes.
tinnitus awareness, eating disorders awareness, congenital heart defect. We are in Heart Month, American Heart
Hmm.
Month,
That's
obviously
right.
Love Month. We have Random Act of Kindness Day, World Day of Social Justice,
Mm.
Jewish Disability Awareness and Inclusion, Your Mental Health, Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy Awareness, Sexual Awareness, Raynaud's and scleroderma, National Children Dental Health, and World Cancer Day. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we have Black History Month. My name is Michelle Maynard MacArthur, and I am your hospitality, health, and wellness strategist that is here to help guide you through a positive process for change. And that is with a lean, holistic healing approach from the inside out. That lean stands for our pillars of your lifestyle, your exercise, your attitude, and your nutrition. The fun part is taking and showing you two top luxury wellness destinations around the world so you can focus on your self care. My devotion is to helping you executives improve your health and well being while you find that perfect mind, body, and soul balance between what is most important is your self care, family, work, and play. My purpose, passion, and why is that I am an overcomer of a progressive degenerative neuromuscular disorder, along with depression for over 30 years now. But I get to stand here today with my voice as long as I have that voice to share with you. And the tips are being brought to you today by MacArthur Accommodations, where we are a hospitality, health, and wellness coaching and consulting advisement company that specializes in that overall optimal health and wellness worldwide with those innovations to reflect, recharge, and renew yourself one step at a time. And without further ado, I want to just introduce this amazing woman of God, beautiful lady, not just showcasing for Black History Month, but also in the mental health and wellness, in wellness. And she is just a plethora of accolades that she has. I have put that into the all of the comments right there on each platform. But Dr.
Thank you.
Janae Bishop-Nesbit is the founder to Boots to Breakthrough LLC, which is actually a virtual wellness coaching practice. Affectionately, we call her Dr. Janae, who she as well is a certified wellness and life coach, a certified grief coach, speaker, veteran, Army officer, and an author. And she is going to talk about a lot of different things that go into transformation, that talk about the wellness, self care, and moving forward from grief into gratitude and her purpose, passion, and why. So, Dr. Janae, thank you for being here. I'm so grateful and honored that you have come into the space. I just want to give you the floor and just tell us about why you do what you do and tell us your story.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. And hello out there to those who may be listening and participating live. And for those who will be listening from the future, welcome. And please come on back to Michelle's lives in the future as well. I am just so grateful for you, Michelle, for your visionary leadership in this space. Yes, I am Dr. Janae Bishop-Nesbit, your certified coach and creator of Boots to Breakthrough LLC, a virtual coaching practice specializing in building resilience through self-care in the areas of life, wellness, and grief. You know, many of you may have heard that self-care isn't selfish, it's self-preservation. It's a quote attributed to Audre Lorde, who is an activist in many ways. So appropriate for this month of Black History Month, right? Personally, as a wife and mom, and professionally as a former school principal, veteran Army officer, author of 4 books, speaker, Clubhouse app moderator, and a podcaster, I know all too well how juggling a lot of roles can lead to overwhelm, burnout, and your self-care is somehow not at the top of the list of your priorities. So getting you into a little bit more about me, when a sudden heart attack made me a widow back in 2016, depression and anxiety had enveloped my life. At that time, I also was in midlife. My husband had passed away in his sleep of a heart attack at only 52 years old. We just became empty nesters. He was a school administrator. I was a school administrator at the time. And we were looking at, hey, several more good years before we were even eligible for retirement. And I burned a candle on both ends, never having lost any significant individual in terms of in my immediate family. And so when that happened, I quickly learned also that heart disease, which of course this is Heart Awareness Month, right, is also the leading cause of death for women. 1 out of 5 women in the United States succumb to heart disease. And so I wanted to make sure that I did all that I needed to do, since heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, different types of cancers actually run in my family. And so at that particular point in time, my why, as Michelle has referenced as well, is and continues to be my sons, my family, and being here for them. So there I was at a stage in my life, and I needed a breakthrough. So I decided that I needed to work on myself, through coaches, through support programs. And as I was navigating through the grief process, I didn't just attend one grief recovery program, but two, because I found myself stuck. Here I was, a woman in midlife, wondering, what does the future hold for me? What are my next steps? Do I rebuild my life? Can I rebuild my life when I thought that I had what my life was supposed to be? Well, the good news is that I remarried. I remarried in 2021. I turned my pain into purpose. Thank you so much. And with my divine assignment to help busy women prioritize self-care so that their cup isn't empty as they're pouring into the cups of other projects and other people. So the goal, I believe, my divine assignment is to help individuals to see how they can reduce stress, create balance, create inner peace as they're embracing joy as they navigate to the next chapter in their life. You know, I want to encourage each and every one of you to make your next chapter the best chapter, to make the rest of your life to be the best of your life. So I've been able to do that through presentations, individual and group coaching, workshops. I'm excited and looking forward to participating in retreat opportunities now that, you know, we kind of sort of have the pandemic in the background. But those were the experiences, Michelle, and those who are listening in today and the future, that led me to realize self-care isn't selfish. It isn't self-indulgent. It is self-preservation. And I needed to embrace that in my life in order to pour into myself as I was pouring into projects. Well, you're probably thinking, well, what all did you have to do? Here you are a veteran Army officer. So you know, that is pretty nice. You're a principal of a school. That's pretty nice. In the midst of accomplishing degrees and titles and things, you were married for 28 years. You had two wonderful sons. Life was good. But I realized also that I was so focused on various destinations that I may have fallen short enjoying the journey along the way. How many of you out there probably can relate to that? That we're on this hedonic treadmill, and we're so busy pursuing the next thing. Well, in May 16th, 2016, I released my first book that Saturday, May 14th, which was How Much Joy Is in Your Journey. And then on Monday, the Lord called my husband home. And I remember a pastor saying to me when I relocated and moved to another state, and he said, well, Janae, what if you wrote that book in order to keep ever present in your mind? How do you keep joy in your journey now that you're embarking in this new chapter in your life? And so what I ended up doing was looking at, what does the research say about living your best life, living holistically? So the book, How Much Joy Is in Your Journey, I focused on 5 of the dimensions of wellness as it related to women in leadership. Because women in leadership, we're juggling family. Sometimes we may be sandwiched in between being there for our parents, being there for our kids, being there for our spouse, and we are not at the top of the to-do list, even though we're kind of the glue that's holding things together. And so what the research shows, as far back as 1976, the National Wellness Institute did research trying to figure out, how does one live their best life holistically? So they identified, some people call them pillars, I call them dimensions, and they've been embraced by employee assistance programs, college institutions and such. And those dimensions of wellness can be used as a framework. Well, as the years progressed, then the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Agency also adopted these dimensions of wellness as a blueprint for how we can live our best life, be active in living life holistically. And I love what it is that Michelle does, because she wants people to be well and she wants individuals to live a holistic life. So you're probably wondering, well, Janae, what are those 8 dimensions of wellness? And you'll see them outlined further on my website, which of course, Michelle has that in the comments for you to peruse. I hope you'll check it out. But those 8 dimensions of wellness, which became integral as the blueprint for me rebuilding and reinventing my life. So when I launched Boots to Breakthrough, there I was using that blueprint of the 8 dimensions of wellness as I was navigating through grief recovery for myself. I used it as an opportunity to write a gratitude journal, to write from grief to growth, which Michelle has referenced, so that I can see all of those areas that I now needed to work on to create the new normal of my life. And guess what? Along the way, I have met women who, like myself, were going through life transitions, whether it was being single and wanting to be married, whether it was being married and suddenly being single, whether it was through divorce or through becoming widowed, individuals who were experiencing empty nest, individuals who were transitioning between careers, individuals who were downsizing in order to be able to have a more relaxed life going into the next chapter, individuals who wanted to be there for their parents while they're there for their kids and for their partners, and then somewhere in there make out time for them to be there for themselves. And in the words of Shaka Khan, I'm every woman, right? So many, I guess I'm aging myself and dating myself for those of you who may not know Chaka Khan back in the 70s and 80s. But it is so key to realize that no one's journey is unique. Your experiences within the journey may be unique in some ways, but we can all relate. So as I look at those 8 dimensions of wellness, they helped to build my life, helped me to create this new chapter, helped me to make the rest of my life the best of my life. And those 8 dimensions ended up being a guide work for me as I navigated through the grief process. So you're probably wondering, well, what are those 8 dimensions? You have emotional wellness. And in emotional wellness, what the research talks about is that is coping effectively with life and creating satisfying relationships. What does that look like, right? And so for many people, that may mean going to therapy, having a coach, having a counselor, but reach out and get help in order to help you through some of these life transitions. So what are some self-care strategies that are incumbent upon emotional wellness? Stress management techniques. You also have emotional maturity. You know, I am certainly not the woman I was in my teens, my 20s, and my 30s now that I'm in this midlife category. And emotional wellness also involves you working on the area of forgiveness. You know, forgiving someone is about you being able to move forward, right? Then there's environmental wellness. And the research says environmental wellness is when you're able to embrace good health by occupying pleasant and stimulating environments that support well-being. So I loved when I came on and I saw that Michelle was out in the open. I said, oh my gosh, how cool is that, right? And it's not raining. And it looks like it might be a little bit cool, but that can be so refreshing. So when we look at environmental wellness, how do we embrace that from a self-care standpoint? Well, I'm going to give you the D word, and that is declutter. You know, declutter. We all kind of wrestle with that, right? But decluttering your environment enables you to open up your mind. You know, we're all energy. The universe is energy. Our space is energy. So when we open up the space, the area, so that energy can come in for our clarity, for our creativity, that is so cool. Then there's financial wellness. And financial wellness is that satisfaction with current and future financial situations. Again, I'm so inspired by Michelle. You know, she is an entrepreneur. She has all of these opportunities that she's involved in. Clubhouse, LinkedIn, where we met, and then we found that we're both on Clubhouse app, which is a new social media app. But financial wellness is maybe we all might not become Zuckerberg or Warren Buffett or Oprah Winfrey, but are you aware of your savings, of your investments? You know, are you looking at your future financial situation? As women, that is so key and so powerful. So in terms of financial self-care, we look at your saving. You know, how are you budgeting? Do you have good money management? And, you know, are you making sure that you're not splurging and you're paying your bills on time, as opposed to, you know, finding yourself in a situation where you're paying all of these extra monies because it's late? Also, in the 8 dimensions of wellness, you have intellectual wellness. And intellectual wellness is recognizing your creative abilities and finding ways to expand your knowledge and skills. So for those of us who work in the corporate setting or nonprofit setting, or we're solopreneurs or entrepreneurs, intellectual wellness is something that's ongoing, right? I can recall telling my sons how it's so important that you realize that lifelong learning is exactly that, lifelong. And so when Michelle was sharing with me about being on StreamYard, and she's so organized, she was sending me information and guidance along the way, I said, oh my gosh, this is an area of growth for me. I am so tech illiterate, but I'm not claiming that energy. I am going to survive and work through that. So that is one of my goals in terms of my own intellectual wellness as I operate in this virtual space. You also have occupational wellness. And that is your personal satisfaction and enrichment from work and school. Well, I certainly have a great deal of satisfaction as a certified life wellness and grief coach and as a self-care strategist. When I worked in the school system after leaving the military, I entered the school system as a guidance counselor and then moved up the ranks into principal of 2 different schools at different points in my 21-year career. And so if you are one of those lucky people who actually have an occupation that you love and fulfills your values and your beliefs, that is awesome. However, the research shows that many people may not have that opportunity. So here's my tip to you that I've shared with people in the past. Let your 9 to 5 pave the way for your 5 to 9. What are the things you do in the 5 to 9? That's typically the things that you really enjoy, that lights you up, and you just jump out of bed if you wanted to and just get started. And that's how I feel about coaching, whether I'm coaching women in the area of life, those who are in transition as I have navigated through, or whether I'm coaching women in the area of wellness to familiarize them with these 8 dimensions, or if I'm coaching individuals in the area of grief. And I'm certified as a grief to gratitude coach. And there are 5 particular things that I look at when I'm coaching individuals in that space so that they can embrace their loss as they're moving forward and use that loss to empower them and strengthen them as they're moving forward. Then, of course, the 6th of the 8 dimensions of wellness is your physical wellness. And that's pretty self-explanatory. Eating nutritionally sound ways. And of course, this is Michelle's space, getting enough sleep, staying hydrated. Physical wellness is recognizing the need for physical activity, for healthy foods and sleep. And that is so powerful. And so here we have the types of self-care that's involved in physical wellness. They include, again, physical activity such as stretching, walking, physical release of energy. Some people might like to, punch a boxing bag every so often, let out that strength. That stress, not strength, stress. But there's also yoga. And guess what? Physical self-care also involves rest. The R word, rest and napping. Our bodies are machines and we want to be able to rejuvenate and recuperate them. Then there's social wellness. That's the 7th dimension of wellness. And in social wellness, that's developing a sense of connection, of belonging, and a well-developed support system. That's why I love this virtual space, which kind of exploded during the pandemic, right? Where we're able to stay connected. But if this was our last day, are we going to think about that report that we didn't do, or that paper we didn't write, or the book that's on the shelf? We're going to probably more than likely think about those that we are leaving behind and those final words that we want to share with them, or those final moments that we want to spend with them. So social wellness really is about your personal and your professional relationships and how they nurture you and support you as you're moving along. And then finally is spiritual wellness. And again, I want to thank Michelle for her spirit. She is truly a woman of God with our moment of silence, and she's a praying woman. In spiritual wellness, the research notes that it's not that you ascribe to a particular religion, but that you have a practice that enables you to feel centered and create balance. And it provides for you a way of having an expanded sense of purpose and meaning in life. So each morning when I wake up, I say my prayer. I'm a believer, I'm a Christian. Upon saying my prayer, I also have meditation, and I use an app. So there's Headspace, Calm, and Insight Timer. And I love guided meditation. Even though I've been trained in transcendental meditation, I really like the guided meditation. And I have a particular fondness for being in areas of water. But I love having shared with you all about the 8 dimensions of wellness. And so, Michelle, your thoughts before I summarize those 5 areas of grief, if you would like?
Yes. Oh my goodness. That's just a wealth of information that we just had condensed in. And I'm just so grateful
Yes.
you guys will be able to hit that replay. I will pop up her contact information again here in just a minute. It's also in the body and the contents of each of the platforms that you're listening to. I would
Yes.
encourage you to share this, comment, share this, subscribe to our channels that are here, and share this, pay it forward with someone. As a master certified health and wellness coach myself with the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute, which complements that certification I have in TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. It is
Beautiful.
about what our world is. And while I focus on the pillars that I mentioned, it is about that lifestyle, our exercise, attitude, nutrition. As I've been studying for the board, I'm hearing more of the 6, the 8, the 12. There's so many different
Mm-hmm.
pillars that we have, whichever one works for you, or dimensions. I love the way that Dr. Janae mentions dimensions, that whatever works for you. But what was really too is when we're in this series of identifying and embracing a worry free lifestyle, we have gone through 10 10 of these that went through with topics and going about what worrying is, what anxiety is. Where are you in that space right there? Is it just something that you need that self care? Is it something
Mm.
that you need coaching? We've got you covered. And if it's not Dr. Janae or myself as a coach certified that can help you, we are about finding that person to help you. We've got resources. While I want to make sure that I do the disclaimer that this, with any of the education and lives, and anytime you hear me speak or bring someone on, it is for educational purposes only. We are not here to treat, diagnose, or prescribe. So if you are in danger, if you're in need of help, please seek that medical emergency help immediately. Earlier today,
Mm-hmm.
we were on Clubhouse. You can text, you can call 988. I believe that's what
Yes.
it was. And it's really important because maybe you're in that self care. Oh, yeah, I'm listening to what they say. I've got it covered. I'm going to go out and
Mm.
get moving. If you've seen some of my reels, just get moving, go. Make sure you're eating healthy. Or you may have listened to one of the topics about where anxiety is. Where on that scale are you? Are you with panic attacks, palpitations? Is it something coming from pharmaceuticals, from the food, from the environment, from your lifestyle? There can be so many different things that cause that anxiety. Or are you in that panic attack mode that maybe it's affecting your heart? We talked about how the heart is, and it is affecting women more so. It's a silent killer for
Mm-hmm.
women as far as to go get your checkups. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself. You may need to have that coach, as I mentioned, or you may need to dive deeper. It may come from traumas when you were young, traumas before you
Mm.
were born, traumas that you don't understand. And the last thing you want is something to happen in our world that has a trigger. And that's where at the beginning I mentioned a 6-year-old. How does the trigger? Most of our in our brain, the way things are formatted, formulated, just deeply rooted, that goes in. We, in our
Mm-hmm.
amygdala part, it doesn't completely develop until we're 25. I go into a small, there's different things that can trigger us. We we handle traumas and grief in different things in different ways. And you've heard me say this many times. It could be death at your doorstep. It could be loss of a job, a a pandemic. It could be a divorce. It could be death. It doesn't really matter what that devastation is. It matters of how it affects you individually. And that is where you may need that counseling. We've got some resources for you and would be welcome to help you with that. You may need to go to a psychiatrist to where there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with that. You may need to be hospitalized and have a medical team of experts to help you. Wherever you are in that range, it does not matter. It is okay. You are not alone. It is about making sure that you are good in your self care. And that's one of the things that really spoke out to me about Dr. Janae is with grief and how and those transformations she mentioned. I believe it's the 5 goals that you have,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Janae. I'd love to, maybe if you want to just kind of run through those, highlight those just a minute for the listeners there, And then I will definitely pop up her contact information, and you will
Mm.
have that to reach out and have then Dr. Janae just give some other areas and upcoming events that she has. But the five transformations, I believe, the goals and things
Hmm.
that we talked about this morning, it was so powerful. So if you have just a few moments just to share, I'd be grateful.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Michelle. And so, in the program that I coach my clients through, from grief to gratitude to growth, the opportunity is to highlight five areas. And the first one is give yourself permission to grieve. And here we look at understanding loss and grief and the grieving process. The second area that we address is remember to honor the life and legacy. And here we look at introducing rituals, remembrances, integrating loss into your life, because you can't go back and have the life that you once had with your loved one. You're now moving forward with your loved one not being with you physically. The third thing that we address is incorporating the new traditions into the old traditions. And here we recognize the F factor, which is fear, forgiveness, and faith, and taking responsibility for your renewed life. And in so doing, it may mean looking at some of the things you were accustomed to doing and how you can bring those into new traditions in memory of your lost loved one, but continuing to move forward. And then the fourth thing that we address is embrace meaning and purpose in going forward. And here we look at developing a new self identity, the search for meaning and purpose. And then finally, but certainly not least, is the opportunity of finding gratitude in the gift of now. And it's in this session that we review giving yourself permission to move beyond the grief and evaluating your support system. Oftentimes, when we lose a significant person in our lives, we feel guilty about going on. We feel guilty about the world moving forward, and this amazing person is not here. However, you have been given a gift. The gift of a new day. That new day is your present. And the gifts you received was when you opened your left eye and your right eye in order for you to fulfill your purpose for that day. And so thank you so much, Michelle, for this opportunity. I'm Dr. Janae Bishop-Nesbit, your certified life wellness and grief coach and your self-care strategist. Please reach out to me in my social media platforms and just message me self-care, and I'll be able to connect back with you so that we can have a conversation.
I love that, Dr. Janae. I just, I think about the grief part because in our world we have all experienced loss. Just the ones I've mentioned. It may be loss of a loved one. And
Mhm.
the scripture that comes for any of you, if you're just like, you're just right in that, or you're mourning, maybe you've got you're mourning and you're grieving of an elderly parent. Hey, I'm there. It's like, where is life going to be? And just watching, someone that's at the ending stages and just trying to enjoy. A scripture is Isaiah 57:1. I just want to shout out that for all of you. Dr. Janae has some scriptures. I'm going to let her share that here in just a moment. But I want to also say that the thing is that we are all here on this earth for just a small period of time. Make the most, make the best of your life while you have someone, if you do love them and you do grieve them, whether they're still living. Maybe it's some of the nasty illnesses from cancer to dementia, Alzheimer's, to neurological, progressive, if there are progressive, chronic. That's one of the things that I have spent a lot of my time is just to make sure that I have that space available to any of you women executives. If you are struggling with a chronic illness, I can help you with that part. But one of the exciting things is that moving forward, as we are having some amazing speakers here, and Dr. Janae is going to be part of that going into, we're going to be with those wellness workshops going more into second quarter, and then maybe into third or fourth, however the Lord has planned, is we will have those wellness retreats around the world. And that is going to be not just having the wellness workshops virtual, in person, but also the wellness retreats that we will have just for a day span that's available to you. But if you are needing that coaching, that one on one, I encourage you. Reach out to us. There are so many coaches out there. You find the perfect one that just really relates to you, that you feel comfortable. And if you came to me and said, okay, we have a discovery call and I see that maybe it's not a good fit or whatever, that's where the beauty of it is to be able to have that collaboration and those resources to reach out to some of the partnerships that we all have available. Or it could be beyond scope of expertise. If that is, we have some great counselors that are there licensed for traumas, for grief, for whatever that might be. Or even you may need, as I mentioned, a doctor, a medical doctor, or a team. So those are some of the things I want to really make sure you know. Please remember, I will drop that into the chat of the contact information if you are in need of immediate help, to just text that 988, call that 988. Reach out to me, message me if there's something. Hey, Michelle, I need some resources. Hey, I want to get in touch with Dr. Janae or any of the past speakers that we've had. Whatever we can do to be at your service, that is what MacArthur Accommodations is about. Join our immunity community at immunityforlife.net. And Dr. Janae, I just want to, in closing, I've got the contact details for the listeners and the viewers here to see, but or do you have any events coming up? You can purchase her books on Amazon. That is definitely, but anything else coming up that you'd like to share for your for the viewers?
Oh my, thank you so much, Michelle. I'm in the process of planning a series. And so there will be the Take Time to Breathe, a 7-week program that is helping women to put themselves back at the top of their list. And the word breathe actually is an acronym. And I guess I should have had that prepared because Michelle did say, so the R is bring you to the top of the list. R, readjust your priorities. E, examine what's exhausting you. A, act on your financial health. T, treat yourself with what energizes you. H, have a soulful community. And E, embrace your spiritual well-being. So that will be happening hopefully near the end of Women's History Month, which is next month, right? And then, of course, I have the From Grief to Gratitude to Growth, which is a 5-week program addressing the areas that Michelle so graciously allowed me to outline just now. And so, by all means, reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and you can just DM me the word self-care or put self-care in the chat here. I'll see it, and then I'll reach back out to you in order to schedule a breakthrough call so that you can create the future that you would like to embrace and making the rest of your life the best of your life.
I love that. I love the word breakthrough. I might have to see. I love that. That's just definitely something to,
yes, that's exactly what I needed.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you again, Dr. Janae. Thank you. I'm just grateful and honored, humbled that you have come into this space to just share your expertise and wisdom and your passion. It means the world. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Lord has in store for so many of us going forward into the future. I want to wish you guys off. Take a look, like, comment, share, subscribe to the YouTube, hit the subscribe button right here below if you're on YouTube, and just pay it forward so you may know someone. It is about making a difference. It is about smiling. It is about really turning someone else's life around just with a smile. And you really never know. If you've got the mask on, do it with your eyes. Share that energy, share that love, share that compassion, grace, and forgiveness, because our world needs to have that. And even from what I mentioned from tragedies just from 2 weeks ago, we don't have that still, and it's up to each one of us. So thank you again. I'm going to wish you all off for a beautiful, blessed, and prosperous day filled with abundant health. Dr. Janae, hang tight before I'll give you a proper exit when we come back in. And for the listeners, God bless you. Bye-bye. And thank you for tuning in. Until next time.